I'd like to call the Nashtown Council Chamber, the regular meeting for September the 7th to order at this time. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we pray. We invite you into our meeting with your guidance and your leadership to help us make the right decisions that will benefit this town of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, we'll move on in our agenda, and our first item is to review the minutes and approve the minutes. So let's look at the August 17 minutes, and do you have any correction to those minutes?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Then we'll look at August 17th, the regular meeting minutes. Are there any corrections to that? Those
Page 9.
page 9. Okay.
Council member Hinton asked if the debt would be served by the Power Bill Fund and if it was an approved expense. I made a point of asking, was this approved by the LGC? And I'd like that to be entered in the minutes. The Local Government Commission. It's very important.
Any other correction?
I have two on page 10.
Okay.
Just a typo in the first paragraph. Council budged, it should be budgeted. And then just when we talked about abating first, it was then to place liens on the property owners.
Any other corrections? Do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes with those corrections?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Our next minutes are from August the 18th, 2021, the work session. Any correction to those? If not,
Being no corrections, I move to be approved.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in agreement to approve these minutes, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Thank you so much. And the next item on our agenda, we did not have any people signed up for public comment. So we'll go on and move to the public hearing, item number 4A. Is Ben Farmer here?
I don't see him yet, Mayor.
Should we go on and return to that
Yes, if you would.
and give him some time to get here? We can do that. So let's move down to 5A. And this is something sad we have to deal with every year. It's our proclamation. And this year is actually the 20th anniversary of September the 11th. Can you believe it? 2021 as a day of remembrance and day of service in honor of the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And so I'd like to read the proclamation at this time. Whereas, in an unprovoked and senseless act of terrorism, 4 civilian aircraft were hijacked on September the 11th, 2001, and crashed in New York City, Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon, resulting in a momentous loss of innocent U.S. lives of all heritage. And whereas, while we still continue to recover from the loss of innocent lives, the spirit of the U.S. has been revitalized, giving way to expressions of patriotism, and whereas, inspired by the heroism of our nation's public service personnel, military, service members, and countless volunteers, our nation found unity and strength. And whereas from the tragedy of September the 11th emerged a stronger nation, renewed by the spirit of national pride and a true love of country. And whereas Americans also have fought back against terror by choosing to overcome evil with good by loving their neighbors as they would like to be loved, contributing to relief efforts and volunteering their time to aid those in need. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Nashville Town Council, do hereby proclaim September the 11th, 2021 as the 20th anniversary of the attacks of 9/11, and also the 9/11 National Day of Service and Remembrance in the town of Nashville, and urge our citizens to recognize the heroism of firefighters rescue and law enforcement personnel, military service members, and the many volunteers who responded to these tragic events with courage, selfless compassion, determination, and skill, and to remember the victims and innocent lives lost as a result of the tragic events on September 11th, 2001. This is the 7th day of September 2021. Do I have an agreement with the council that we proclaim this?
Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor, I move that we endorse this proclamation as presented.
Thank
Second.
all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Are you gonna do the moment of silence?
Yes. At this time, we're going to just have a moment of silence in remembrance of this tragic day in our United States of America. Thank you. All right, our next item on our agenda is the recognition of someone that we all appreciate and are very proud of, and that is, well, I think first of all, we need to go to the, we have someone here that wants to make a presentation, and so Michael, if you'll come up, this is Michael Perdue, and he has something he'd like for us to look at, and he'd like to present to the council. And thank you, Michael, for bringing this to the council.
Thank you all for having me. Well, a couple years ago, my youngest son was graduating from college in Boston, and the oldest son and I decided to drive. Well, I had to drive my truck up to Boston because I had to bring all the stuff back. You know, so my oldest son and I made a 2-day trip out of it. We visited some. You know, we didn't stay on the interstate. We went off the beaten path. Went to Centralia, Pennsylvania, the abandoned town. Went to the Yuengling Brewery, the oldest brewery in America, stuff like that. And he likes to visit dead presidents, so we visited some dead presidents along the way. And but we were going through some towns in Pennsylvania, and just outside Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and there's this town called St. Clair, and they had it was around Memorial Day, and so they had all the banners up of I wasn't sure if they were veterans or if they were people that died in service, but come to find out they were folks that died in service to our country. So they had banners up all throughout the town, you know, honoring their veterans, or honoring those folks on Memorial Day. And I was like, that'd be neat for our town to do something like that. And then, yeah, a year later, y'all pop out the banners in town. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. We got the hardware up and everything. But anyway, so I've done a little research. I don't really have a presentation on it. If you have any pictures, do you have the pictures to show? They're in their packages, okay. But it's kind of the banners like we have in town on the light poles. But they have a picture of the service member, have their name, what branch of the military they were in, what conflicts they were in, or they died. And I've done a little research. Different towns do it differently. Some honor veterans, some do honor veterans on Veterans Day. Some honor those that have died just on Memorial Day. Some do a little bit of both. So. And the thing is, I think all the programs that are done pretty much, it's the towns generally don't pay for it. It's donations from individuals, family members may buy something from a relative, may purchase the banner, and so I think the main cost would be to the town would be putting them up and taking them down every year. So, and I was thinking we could do something possibly at Veterans Day where we honor veterans that served, and then at Memorial Day maybe honor those that, because there's plaques at the courthouse for those that have given their life to our country. So I thought it'd be something neat we could do. And they're beautiful. When I was in, we just rode through the town. I was like, oh, this is cool. I wish Nashville could do something like that. And then we went to another town and they were doing it, and another town. It was like all the towns up there were doing it. And I've never seen anybody in the South or in North Carolina, do something like that. And I thought it'd be cool. It'd be neat if we would do something like that. It was just real patriotic, real inspiring. So anyway, I just I've looked. I think that you may know it better how much they are, but banners vary based on size. I think your banners in town or our banners in town are 30 by 72. Sarah said, and I think typically to purchase a banner like that would be around $100. to the individual or their family. And like I said, I've done a little research on different places, and they have, work with some veterans organizations take care of it. Some it's like a private, non-profit or something that somebody has formed to handle all that. So anyway, I'd be interested in helping with something like that if our town saw that, was, felt desire to do something like that. Like I said, I don't think it would be any cost for the banners. I think it'd just be, we'd probably have to pay town employees to put them up and take them down every year. And then you have questions about, like, who do you limit it to? If someone lived out in the county, are they, this is Nashville, and we have to pay for, town of Nashville will have to pay for things to be taken up and down. So I think we'd have to limit it to, Nashville citizens, or folks that have lived here before, something like that. So anyway, just something to consider. And like I said, I'd be glad to help with it any way I could.
Well, I appreciate you being interested in bringing something like this before the council. We appreciate our citizens when they do that, so thank you so much. Do I hear a motion that we receive this information and just look it over and think about it?
Mr. Perdue, would you be willing to chair a committee if
Sure.
we choose to go that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could
I
probably
move-
do a lot of the graphics. for
I
it,
move that
too.
we go forward with this.
Second.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to second this motion. I think it's a great idea, Michael. I like this a lot and appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
And we'll
Love
look
to see
at
it
it,
come.
and so that'd be great. All those agree that we do that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Thank
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
kindly. Our next item is recognition of our PRCR director, Coy Worrell. And where is he?
He's in the back.
Get yourself up here. We are so proud that he chose to work in Nashville. I have to say, everywhere I go, I hear good things about him, how pleasant he is, how kind he is, how smart he is. So we're just thankful that you settled right here with us. But this is something that he earned, and I just wanted to share it with you. North Carolina volunteer instructors are important and valued members of the Hunter educational team. The knowledge, skills, and attitudes students learn during their formal hunter education training and their experiences of field are extremely important to the future generation of hunters. Hunter education instructors are in a unique position to have a positive impact on each of their course participants. The commitment that volunteer instructors have made to the Hunter Education Program is a reflection of the appreciation and concern that they have for wildlife resources. The North Carolina Hunter Education Program likes to highlight our instructors of the year. All award recipients were nominated by either a staff member or fellow Hunter Education instructor. Award selection is made by the Hunter Education Advisory Council. For the 2021 year, Coy Worrell, Nashville's PRCR department, has been awarded the Hunter Education Instruction of the Year for the Northern Piedmont region. The town would like to formally recognize Mr. Worrell for his achievements as well as announce the next town-sponsored Hunter Safety Education course. We are so proud of you. Congratulations, and we want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. And our next course is October 25th and 26th here in council chambers. You can register through the North Carolina Wildlife website, and then we'll also be pushing that out on social media.
Is there an age limit?
There's not. It's taught on a 7th grade level. So
7th grade level. Okay, great.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you
And
have the,
what does that cover? I mean, give me an overview of what this actually entails.
The hunter education course, it's required for individuals to purchase their hunting license in North Carolina, so it covers, used to just cover safety, but expanded from there where they learn some different hunting techniques and a little bit of history about hunting. So
Okay, gotcha.
okay, you're next on the agenda. The proclamation and celebration of Arbor Day.
yes, ma'am. So this is one of the requirements for our Tree City USA designation, is to celebrate Arbor Day each year. Traditionally, it's recognized in the spring, but here in North Carolina, A lot of municipalities recognize that holiday in the fall, which is a better season to plant. So we would like to recognize September 24th as that day, and we're still working out the logistics, but the plan is to plant a fruit orchard at Nashville Elementary School, and we'll also plant a tree at Nash Community College. And the funds for the orchard came from the Urban Community Forestry Grant that we applied for back in the spring and were awarded. So
Good. Would you like to read the proclamation?
I can.
Okay.
Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed that to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion and the precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-living oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and whereas trees in our town can sometimes increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal.
And I'll finish up now. Therefore, I, Brenda Brown, Mayor of Nashville, do hereby proclaim September the 24th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the town of Nashville, and I urge all citizens to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Does the council support this proclamation for Arbor Day? Let it just say aye.
Aye.
Okay, good. So that'll be good. All right, the next item on our agenda is our master recreation plan.
Yes, ma'am. So one of the projects that were funded in this fiscal year's budget was to complete a comprehensive Parks and Recreation master plan for the town. We sent out an RFQ on June 16th, and we had 6 firms submit proposals. Those were reviewed by a committee consisting of town staff and Melissa Lump, who is the chair of the PRCR board. And we picked the top 2 firms. From there, we held interviews with those 2 firms and decided that McAdams was the best choice for Nashville. So we would like to hire McAdams Consulting Firm to complete our comprehensive Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Are there any questions for Corey concerning this?
When would they start this, Coy?
As soon as we get that contract back to them, we would have a kickoff meeting with them for us to go over a timeline with them.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the contract with McAdams to complete our comprehensive Parks and Recreation Master Plan for the town of Nashville?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, Corey, for the good job you're doing.
Thank you.
Corey, I know we've budgeted 42,000 for that, but how much is this firm gonna cost us?
It'll be
It
$42,000.
will be, okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is planning the development of downtown investment.
Thank you, Mayor. Downtown investment grant and Facade grants were discussed several times in the past downtown Nashville Strong meetings, and a subcommittee was put together to try and resurrect those programs. They've been in place for a number of years with the town of Nashville. Their use has kind of fallen off, and the committee wanted to revive those. So they went back and went through all the details, requirements, and application form for the 2 programs. And this evening, they have in the packet the recommended literature on the programs, the rules of how they can be used, and the actual applications. Just quickly, the purpose of the Downtown Incentive Grant is to encourage reinvestment in downtown Nashville and covering substantial rehabilitation of older buildings and new fill-in development within the Municipal Service District, the MSD. The grant is available over 5 years, representing a % of the difference of the parcel's improved assessed value before and after. And as it goes, the reimbursement would be 100% the first year, 80% the second year, 60% the third year, 40 the fourth, and 20 the fifth. And that reimbursement would be the difference between the value before and after. That's the incentive. Then the purpose of the Facade Grant Program is to provide business and commercial property owners an economic incentive to renovate the exterior of their buildings. Within the MSD, this is a 50% reimbursement grant match, meaning that the amount of the grant will be equal to 50% of the cost of the improvement, or subject to the maximum of $500, whichever one comes in there. So in the packet were the downtown incentive grant policy and the actual application for both programs, and the map showing the municipal service district within Nashville. These are the properties that are eligible for these programs. So it is the recommendation of the Downtown Nashville Strong Advisory Board that the council readopt or reaffirm these two programs. And we did budget monies in this fiscal year for these programs. Facade, for sure. The other one, I guess if we have one of the applications for the downtown incentive grant, we'll have to bring that to the council. We didn't necessarily budget any money for that. We were choosing instead to put it all toward something on Barn Street as far as putting some of the facilities, the overhead facilities underground. We now know what we budgeted for that isn't going to come anywhere close. And again, I think you're aware that the Downtown Strong Advisory Board is recommending, we pursue another streetscape grant through the Department of Commerce, which is a whole nother discussion, and is a recommendation that'll be coming to the council at the October council meeting.
Are both of these funded through MSD funds,
They are, yes,
strictly MSD funds?
correct.
I would like to suggest one slight clarification
Okay.
to this. In section 2, the very first sentence. So it's my understanding that this grant is on the property taxes of the assessed value. Is that true?
Correct.
Not just, okay, so I think we need to maybe just change the wording where it says the grant is available over 5 years, representing a percentage of the difference of the parcel's improved assessed value and previous unapproved assessed value. I think we may need to change that to say a percentage of the county and town property taxes paid on the improved portion of the parcel's total assessed value, or something of that nature.
To be
Right.
more specific.
Yes.
Right. And yes, it is county as well that's going
Right.
to be, at least this first one, not the facade.
Yeah, but the town won't be reimbursing the county's taxes.
No, the county reimburses theirs, yes.
Yeah,
Or the total assessed value, just the taxes paid.
Right.
Right.
good
Oh.
point.
Mayor, I'd also like to point out, and it's probably a minor thing, but on item 14 on page 59, it references a 1% discount related to the county portion of taxes, and I believe the county did away with the discount on property taxes some time back, so that may not be
They
affected.
did.
Okay.
How many people have taken advantage of this in the past?
Since I've been here, Louise, nobody has. Now, I know previously there were several facade improvement applications. I don't know if
I
anybody's.
didn't know that we had the dig. Did we really have the dig in place? I
Yes.
thought it was just the facade.
No, we had to do.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Right.
We had a program to enhance or try to get people to put awnings, and that was,
And a number of them have, I
Right.
believe.
Now, those that participated with the awning program that we had before, would they be allowed to reapply to do additional facade improvements?
If they're spending more money,
Okay,
you know, the whole key for both these is you gotta spend something,
right.
so to speak.
I also have just one clarification on number 9. When we talk about, on the 6th year, the owner will pay the full amount of the newly appraised tax value of the property without any benefit of the grant. It should be on the 6th year and every year thereafter.
Okay.
Any other? If not, do I hear a motion to move forward with this DNS Advisory Board recommendation to proceed with approval of the Downtown Investment Grant and the Facade Grant?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Thank you so much. Now let's move on to the next item, which is the Wellhead Protection Plan.
Thank you, Mayor. The Wellhead Protection Plan, North Carolina has a program that helps municipalities put together ground source water protection plans, and that's what a wellhead protection plan is. This plan protects all or part of the surrounding area of a well from surface water contamination. And the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality recommends public water supplies have wellhead protection plans. And this allows the town to know what land uses are over the recharge area on top of the wells, as well as have an inventory of potential contamination sources within that recharge area. So with the help of the North Carolina Rural Water Association, Lee Brown, our Public Works Director, and myself worked with them and came up with the attached wellhead protection plan. And one of the added benefits of having a wellhead protection plan, as you know, we are also applying to the Community Development Block Grant Program for a grant to help expand our sewer collection system in the Essex Road subdivision. We can gain additional points on that application by having a wellhead protection plan, which, you know, it's a good idea to have one to begin with, but this gives added benefit to the town of Nashville. So at this time, I'd like to present and recommend to the council consider and adopt this wellhead protection plan that was developed with the assistance of the North Carolina Rural Water Association.
Are there any questions?
Yes, on these illustrations, it would be interesting to know where the well is.
Oh,
You know, and these circles, I don't know if you all have studied these, but I couldn't find the well. For instance, well number 5, where is it on that map?
well number 5 is right across from the cemetery on First Street.
Okay,
Yeah.
but from this you can't tell.
And well number 6 is in Birchwood.
All right.
And then well number 7 is going out toward the DOC, correction. It's a little building with
Yeah.
a fenced round area.
Should the assumption be that it's kind of the center of these circles?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have to assume where it is and we don't know.
We'll make sure that the final draft has them pinpointed.
Any other? If
Okay.
not, do I hear a motion that we approve the resolution 2021-28, adopting the 2021 Nashville Wellhead Protection Plan?
I had just one additional question.
Okay.
It seems like quite a bit is being put on the town as far as providing information and suggestions for proper storage and things like that. Are we going to be receiving, you know, pamphlets and things from the state, the federal government, or are these things that we have to put together, give over to businesses, some sort of like written education material? Is this going to be, you know, an added expense and time and commitment on our?
It is not.
Staff.
NCDEQ already has the publications.
Okay,
and
so we just
if-
get those and then.
Yeah, if Sarah and I would have put in the additional 57 pages of addendums, you would have seen that with the plan.
Okay.
We didn't think it was really necessary to put all that additional paperwork in there.
Okay.
So we have those, and on an annual basis, as part of our wellhead protection plan, we will send out those to the, you know, we did surveys of the potential possible contamination sources within. When we did those, we found out none of them have enough storage of anything on site to cause any real concern.
Okay,
But we will make sure that they get those pamphlets on an annual basis.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Is there a motion that we approve this resolution?
Move to approve the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is the Capital Improvement Plan, review and approve a 10-year water and sewer capital improvement plan for the town of Nashville with resolution number 2021 and 28.
Thank you, Mayor. Capital improvement plan, I had an opportunity to get started on putting together a 10-year capital improvement plan for water and sewer. I don't quite have it finished. The main parts are in it. There are 15 items that we know we need to work on. If you will recall, in our discussions with the asset inventory assessment grant that we've applied for the last 2 years through the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, we just came up short last year, a point on both the water and the sewer from being funded. Part of that asset inventory assessment would do a formal capital improvement plan. The reason why I have it before the council tonight, again, with the Cdbg grant application, if we have an approved capital improvement plan by the council, we can gain additional points on our Cdbg application for the the Essex Road Sewer Extension Project. And the town staff is working with the Upper Coastal Plains Council of Government, and we do have Ben Farmer here this evening, who's one of their staff members. It's another colleague of his that we're working with on the actual application. Helen, she wasn't able to be here tonight, Paige. But even though this project, or this capital improvement plan isn't 100% finished, I'm asking the council to adopt it. The details I will finish this week and get to Helen and Ben to include in the application. And the reason I'm doing that is because they want to submit that Cdbg grant application before we're going to have our next council meeting.
How can you approve a plan if you have no idea about the cost of the 10 years?
So the cost projections are going to be an estimate or an assumption at this time. It is my hope that we will have a formal inventory assessment, asset inventory assessment completed within this next year to have formal cost on all the items that are going to be in here, and they will likely expand upon this. It's still the task of the town and the council to come up with the funding on that. Identifying him is just one small part of that. And, we have a lot of infrastructure needs, and we're going to have some sizable costs. I know we're not going to be able to cash flow those. We're going to have to pursue grants and possibly even low interest loans in order to address all of them. So, it's somewhat of an act of faith that I'm asking you guys to approve this capital improvement plan so that we can get maximum points on that Cdbg application. The actual cost estimates I can have for you by the end of the week. I just didn't have time to pull it all together.
So even if we approve this, it's still going to come back to us in the future as to what we want to fund, if any of those items, and how we're going to fund it,
Absolutely.
right?
Mr. Lanson, out of the 15 items that you have targeted, number 3, water meters. I thought we in the past years we've been replacing all these old meters with new meters.
That is correct.
I was
It's-
hoping at this time we've got them all replaced, haven't we?
It's the large diameter meters. Those are the expensive one. A 2-inch compound meter can run $3,000. A 6-inch, which we have one of those, costs you close to $8,000. We haven't done those yet.
Okay, so we're not talking about the regular meters that residents.
No, I'm
Okay.
pleased to report to the council that our Public Works has made tremendous strides in changing out registers on water meters so that our drive-by meter equipment working now picks up about 95% of the meters in the system.
Okay, all right.
And it has just saved a ton of time reading meters.
That's good.
Yeah. There was some question about item 1 and 10. One is an asset inventory assessment for water, and number 10 is on the sewer. And that's
Can we
why I
just
listed in there twice.
Change the title to add water and sewer.
I sure can.
Thank you.
Any other suggestions or questions?
I think this is a good first step. I believe this is something that we need, particularly as we are going forward to try to get the asset inventory done. And the town needs to have something in this, like this in place so that we know what is facing us in the future. I think part of our problem has been, we knew that we had issues, but we didn't know specifically what they were. And of course, once we get that in place and some numbers come out, that's when we have to sit down and make decisions about when we're gonna be able to do what.
I
And
agree.
prioritizing
There's a
things.
lot in here about the problems that we've been seeing specifically for this year with the infiltration and what could potentially be causing the major, major problems. And things like, 110 years that we've had things in place and, putting things in 1910, that's frightening.
I know.
I think
It
we
is.
really
I
do
think the
need to do
citizens would
this.
be pleased to see that we as a council are caring about the infrastructure and trying to do something about it.
There was a question of the 2006 asset inventory assessment, how much of that was actually accomplished. And Lee, if you wouldn't mind stepping forward, I think you had a chance to look at that this afternoon.
Now, what is that? Are you talking?
It was the same thing done in 2006.
Oh.
And Lee's going to give a quick update
Okay.
on what was identified in there and actually accomplished by the town.
So in 2006, the Wooten Company came and did a comprehensive study of the water system. They had a separate portion of their study referencing the sewer system, but as far as the water system goes, it was a big modeling project. So they ran our system through many different scenarios and gave about 5 major recommendations and some secondary recommendations. The majority of that study referenced upsizing existing water mains, ensuring our system was properly looped to ensure sufficient fire flow, adding a, I can't remember if it was adding or it did reference the installation of a new storage tank, which is the one at Industry Court, and then extending our distribution system south of town out to Cross Creek. So that was the primary focus. There was also a reference to, it was a quick reference, but it was there to replacing smaller diameter water lines, 2-inch, 4-inch, anything, of course, cast iron, galvanized, and also working towards a fire hydrant and valve inspection and replacement program. So
Was that done?
the bigger portions of that scope were done mostly. The extensions of the water system south of town, the installation of the tank, the upsizing of some of the water mains. And then as far as a formal hydrant and valve inspection and replacement program, I don't know that that ever got off the ground. And of course, we've got several thousand feet of 2-inch water lines, so I would say that probably hasn't begun.
Any questions for Lee? If not, thank you, Lee. We appreciate it. Okay, Randy?
Thank you, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is the designation of a designated agent for the town of Nashville. I think you recall I reported that the program we were pursuing for flood buyout and Indian Trail from the Office of Resiliency, and they have been directed by the governor to focus on those towns that have suffered losses, repetitive losses from flooding in the last 2 hurricanes. We haven't, but, so I beat the bushes and found that the North Carolina Division of Emergency Management has a hazard mitigation grant that we can apply for, and they are eager for us to apply for. It's a 70-25, so 75% federal government, 25% state of North Carolina, and the staff for the Division of Emergency Management is going to help us with that application. Now, there's some surveying or questionnaires that the town has to do with the homeowners in the target area, and that will determine their eligibility. You know, some of it has to do with how many repetitive losses they've had over the last number of years, what the elevation of their lowest floor is in relationship to the floodplain, and obviously, of course, it's a voluntary program, whether they're even interested in pursuing a buyout. And I'm sure most people will say, well, that depends. What are you going to offer me for my property? So those things we have to document of the 29 homes in the target area. If all of them were to be acquired for their taxable value, it would be $1,671,000. And the way the program is set up, when a house gets purchased, you seek reimbursement from the state after. The federal dollars go immediately. The recipient, which is the town of Nashville, would have to front that money for 10 to 20 days until we get reimbursed. But, you know, not every house is going to be bought out. Not every house will be bought out in the same week or month. They did prepare me that this program, if approved, will take several years to complete, start to finish. But it all begins with the application, and part of the application is to designate a designated agent for the town of Nashville. And we do have resolution number 30, which designates myself and the town clerk as the primary agent and secondary agent. And that is what we're asking the council to approve this evening.
Any questions for Randy?
I have a question. Randy, once the property is bought, if I'm remembering correctly, the town will then own that property and there'll be no further building upon it after it's gone through the federal buyout program.
That is true. There will be a deed restriction on the property that categorically prevents any new construction of any structure whatsoever on that. Now, it can be used as green space.
Right.
And things that are allowed to be put in the floodway as part of a park could be put there. So that is a possibility, but homes and buildings, no.
Randy, have you had any interest in this from the people in the neighborhood?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, several called disappointed when, you know, we found out that the Office of Resiliency wasn't going to pursue our application anymore, and they were relieved that we were able to find another program that we can make application for.
I appreciate you finding all these grants because that's the way we're gonna have to go, so that's wonderful. We need to go back to 7B item because I need to have a motion that we approve resolution 2021-28 adopting the 10-year water and sewage capital improvement plan.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Now I need a motion for this one to approve the resolution 2021-30 designating the town manager and town clerk as designated agents for the town of Nashville for the hazard mitigation program.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And at this time, we'll go to our item 7D, and I will turn it over to Mike to discuss this with us.
So, Mayor, members of the council, as I understand, 7D is just an explanation about how and why we allow 2 dwelling units per acre with curb and gutter versus 3 dwelling units per acre with ditch sections. Without boring you with a lot of details, when the state developed what they call the Model Stormwater Ordinance back in the early 2000s, which the town ultimately adopted and has amended since, they recognized the benefits of conveyance of water through open channels to help clean stormwater runoff. So when it rains in a curb and gutter street, it gets in the curb and gutter, gets in the pipe, and goes straight to Stony Creek in our neighborhood. When gets in a ditch section such as Birchwood, it goes in the street, gets in the ditch, goes through ditches, and eventually ends up in Stony Creek. So the state recognizes the benefits of open conveyance of stormwater as a means to remove organics, inorganics, and just contaminants in the stormwater. So as a benefit of that, they allowed you to build to a higher density. I'll jump to the Walmart as an example. So if you're under 24%, you don't need to do anything. If you put curb and gutter streets in, you can build up to 2 lots per acre. But if you go to the Walmart scenario and you build the stormwater ponds and the bioretention cells in the parking lot, you can go up to 85% built upon. So basically, it's a way of treating the stormwater without building the ponds. That's what the open ditches do.
Okay.
So,
And the
Sorry.
key thing is
Yes.
keeping those open ditches clean.
Open.
well, that's one of my questions,
Yeah.
which is without, an HOA or a POA or something like that, how do we guarantee that homeowners take care of these open ditches?
Well, globally speaking.
Yes.
We would not want open ditches in R6 or R10 in small type developments that have like 40 and 50-foot lot frontages.
Okay.
Because when you have like a 20-foot driveway, then you got a 40-foot ditch, a 20-foot driveway, and it's just problematic to maintain those ditches. So it's really, it's more beneficial when you have 85 and 100-foot wide lots. And what happens is the way the street is designed with the ditch and the right-of-way, the ditch is actually 1 foot or 2 foot in or outside the right-of-way, and it's maintained by the property owner all the way to the edge of pavement, just like it's maintained by the property owner all the way to the curb, if there's curb and gutter. But there are instances where the town would have to go out, it is our ditch, it's in our right-of-way, or it's in an easement, and there would be cases where we would need to clean that out and maintain it, no different than we would a failed pipe or a failed culvert or something like that.
Okay, so, and just for clarification, in watershed properties, it's like the standard recommendation to do the open ditch versus curb and gutter.
Our ordinance gives us the option
Right.
of the developer choosing which way they want. And they can put curb and gutter in and build a pond, or they can go open ditches and build 3 per acre, or they can go curb and gutter and build 2 per acre with no pond. But you could, it gives you a lot of flexibility.
Okay. And then my last question is, in our particular ordinance, it says that we can allow it in cluster developments in watersheds. But it sounds like maybe that wouldn't be the smartest idea to have these super small
Well-
cluster development properties with open ditches. Or in a watershed district, maybe we save our clusters for outside of the watershed.
Well, again, it's a whole system of conveying water from point A to point B. Sometimes it's going to be better to do it by a pipe. Sometimes it's going to be better to do it by a ditch. So when you cluster a subdivision, you certainly could pipe the main high-density section and then open ditch the lower density, protected land section. What you wouldn't want to do is just pipe it from point A all the way to the stream bank of the creek and discharge it. So you want to get as much open flow in the lower density areas would be beneficial.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion that we just received this engineer's explanation for this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And thank you so very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next is on our item is the East Cross Street drainage problem.
So again, Mayor, what we're talking about here is the town several years ago did what I would call phase 1 of this improvement, which would improve the drainage and curb and gutter and put in a valley gutter across the street at Cross Street. And everybody knows where that is. We're at the corner right in between Browsville Milling's main office and their plant. So several years ago, when they did a building expansion over there and built their new corporate headquarters, the town participated in some widening out some curb and gutter and doing some drainage improvements in Austin Street. And we did not do phase 2 of that, which was, I guess, about the first 150 feet back up Cross Street, if I remember correctly. And this phase of the estimate is to complete that project of where over the years the street has, due to the traffic, has settled and the town would go in and repave it. And over the years we paved in the gutter and we've affected the drainage of the street. So what needs to happen is a milling machine needs to come in there and mill off the asphalt, repair the subgrade, and then repave the street so it drains the way it did prior to being overlaid multiple times. And that cost is around $70,000. And I'll assume they have the estimates.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like them.
No.
yeah, the actual budget cost is $73,700, and that does include a 10% contingency.
And Mike, you said pave the street just in that area.
Yes, ma'am. It's milling out the asphalt that is there, it can be recycled, and then repaving the street to where it drains, repairing some curb and gutter that over the years has been, has 3 or 4 inches of asphalt in the valley of the curb. That would be, the curb and gutter would be replaced as well.
Can we prevent that same thing from happening again
Yeah,
when we do another overlay?
Yeah, we can make sure the subgrade is built to hold up the curb and gutter, and then put the driveways in the curb and gutter where the trucks are coming through, and use heavy-duty asphalt, heavy-duty concrete to prevent this. And keep in mind, I think it was paved by Scott Braswell, 40 years ago. I think that's what Kevin was telling me. So it's been,
Right.
it's lasted for 40 years, and they use it daily.
And as what you said, this has been something that's been talked about for a long time. I found, a sheet from just 4 years ago, already budgeting funds for it then, and it was a promise that was made by 2 previous town managers that has carried over, but never actually been done. So I think it's finally hit the point where we need to do it.
There's no doubt, just from my perspective, phase 1 was done and the funds were not there to complete phase 2. It was a commitment made several years back.
And the heavy truck traffic didn't help us any.
No doubt. And costs have escalated over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's working against us as well.
Right.
Would this come from Powell bill money?
Actually, staff would propose it come from stormwater money. We have about 70,000 for small storm sewer projects, and this is correcting a drainage problem. We would propose that if the council moves forward with this, that would be the source of money. But we could also use Powell money.
Well, that would pretty much deplete the stormwater
Yeah.
fund, because
It
that
would.
doesn't have much money in it,
I wouldn't want to deplete it altogether.
not for a project like this. That's not fair to all the other small projects
No, it's
around
not.
that need to be done.
We can pull from both
Yeah, you can
camps.
use a combination.
But if we're paving streets, it sounds like Powell bill.
Do I hear a motion that we receive Stock's engineer's report, cost estimate, and recommendation for correcting the drainage problem?
So
I
moved.
move we accept his recommendation, but I would like to make sure that we don't pull it all from one account, that we pull it from Power Bill and from stormwater accounts. Combination of both.
Any other comments? Did someone make a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much for coming.
Mayor Brown?
Yes.
Before you continue, could we jump back?
We
to-
surely can. I'm sorry, Ben.
That's all right. Yes, ma'am.
Come on up. That is number 4A.
And I apologize for being late. I'm filling in for my colleague Helen Page and did not realize it wasn't at town
Okay.
hall. But my name is Ben Farmer. I'm a planner with the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments. Do y'all need to formally enter into a public hearing, or should I just start with this?
Okay, do I hear a motion that we go into a public hearing?
So, no.
All those in favor say aye. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All right,
Okay,
so,
trying to get my papers together here, okay?
all right, I do have to read from a script as well, so I
That's
apologize for
fine,
that.
yeah, you do.
This public hearing on September 7th, 2021 will provide an explanation and description of the 2021 North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, Community Development Block Grant Infrastructure Grants, CDBGI. We are present to discuss the purpose of the public hearing for the town's CDBGI funding application. The purpose of the public hearing is to obtain citizens' view and to allow response from the public to funding proposals and answer any questions posed by citizens. This public hearing will cover the town's community development needs, development of the proposed activities, and a review of program compliance before the submission of the town's CDBGI funding application to the state of North Carolina. The town proposes to request funding from NCDEQ's CDBGI program for Essex Drive Sewer Extension. The proposed project will meet the following community and housing needs of the town by extending sewer service to a previously unsewered area of town. The purpose of the CDBGI grant program is to improve the quality of life for low to moderate income people by providing safe, clean environment and clean drinking water through water and sewer infrastructure improvements and extensions of service to benefit a residential area where at least 51% of beneficiaries are low to moderate income as defined by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, to perform eligible activities to minimize displacement and provide displacement assistance as necessary. For the fiscal year of 2021, the CDBGI funding available is expected to be around $25 million. The maximum grant amount is $2 million over a 3-year period. Applications for funding will be received September 30th, 2021. The CDBG program can fund a wide variety of community development activities. The state of North Carolina has chosen to fund several activities: water and sewer infrastructure, neighborhood revitalization, COVID-19 related projects, and economic development projects that lead to creation or retention of jobs. The infrastructure program of CDBGI can fund a range of water and sewer infrastructure activities, including but not limited to the following: water, projects that resolve water loss in distribution systems, projects that extend public water to areas with contaminated wells, projects that extend water lines to areas with dry wells, projects that assist with low water pressure in public water systems, projects that regionalize 2 or more water systems, projects that rehabilitate or replace a water treatment plant. In wastewater, projects that resolve inflow and infiltration to collection systems and surcharges from pump stations and manholes, projects that extend public sewer to areas with failed septic tanks, projects that rehabilitate a wastewater treatment plant to allow for greater efficiency or compliance with regulations. The town is seeking an amount in CDBGI funds not to exceed $616,000 for Essex Drive sewer extension. The purpose of the town's request is to construct a wastewater collection system extension to a previously unsewered area on all or portions of Essex Road, Covington Court, and Hampton Court. The project proposed by the town was identified in the Town of Nashville's Capital Improvement Plan 2021. Informal community meetings were held in the project area to inform citizens of potential projects and get feedback from the residents. A total of 100% of the CDBGI funding will be used to benefit low to moderate income, or LMI, people. The project area in the town has been determined to have an income survey area of 74.29%. The project area includes all or portions of Essex Road, Covington Court, and Hampton Court. The range of activities covered by the CDBGI funds for the Essex Drive sewer extension include construction, environmental review, engineering design, construction, administration, and observation, legal activities, surveying, grant administration. If the town is awarded a CDBGI grant, the town is required to adhere to federal procurement requirements and other federal regulations, which may include American with Disabilities Act, or Section 504 survey, Davis-Bacon and related labor acts, adoption and submittal of a citizens participation plan, adoption and submittal of an equal opportunity plan, adoption and submittal of a fair housing plan, adoption and submittal of a language access plan, adoption and submittal of a relocation assistance plan, adoption and submittal of a Section 3 plan, and excess force provision. The state of North Carolina requires that if the town receives CDBG grant funding, the town will certify that they will comply with the requirements of the General Displacement and Relocation Policy for CDBG grant funding. This policy assists low to moderate income people with costs associated with relocation or displacement should such relocation become necessary due to the project activities. CDBG funds can be used for those costs if necessary. If no displacement and relocation will occur as a result of the proposed CDBG grant activity, then the town confirms that during this public hearing. It is my understanding that there is no displacement and or relocation that will occur as a part of this grant activity. Can you please confirm, town? That's
Yes.
correct. In the past, the town has not applied for any CDBG projects. Finally, the town will submit its CDBGI application for the Essex Drive sewer extension on September 30th, 2021. The CDBGI application will be available for review during normal business hours at the Town Hall, 499 South Barnes Street, Nashville, NC 27856. Additional information is available from Town Manager Randy Lansing at 252-459-4511, extension 233. Should you have any complaints or grievances regarding the subject for public hearing, they should be addressed to the addressee mentioned above within 10 business days or by September 17th, 2021. And a written response to the written complaints and/or grievances will be sent by the town within 10 business days where practicable. We now open the floor for comments and questions about the CDBG program and about the proposed project.
Are there any comments about this project from anyone?
Mayor, he's explained everything to us as a council, but we don't have anybody here tonight that's from that neighborhood out there to hear what he's bringing forward. Do we need to, I don't mean you need to come back, but how do we need to convey this to the residents that are out there?
Was this public hearing advertised?
It was advertised?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I also do know the minutes have to be approved during this meeting. I'm not sure if those will be advertised, but they will be published, yeah.
Larry, it's my understanding that what the town has to certify to are like you're not gonna use the money for lobbying.
Right.
You are gonna use it on this project to benefit people of low to moderate income. I don't think there's anything controversial that any of
This
the
is what they
residents
wanted, I thought.
out there would contest to, or,
And there's also no displacement or relocation.
yeah,
which
yeah,
certainly
that's
helps.
the big thing.
Providing a service that they
So it's
need.
just providing the service that they really need and wanted,
Yes, ma'am.
from what we heard.
And they do. When Sean went door to door and did the income surveys for this, over Rizal, everybody that he knocked on the door and explained the project to said, yeah, I've
Yeah.
been wondering for 40 years, how come I don't have town sewer? I pay town taxes.
All right. Okay, all right. But that was my question.
So are there any
I see
other?
a comment back there.
Okay, yes.
So, does this grant cover the town running the sewer lines and then the homeowner is responsible for connecting to it? Or is the grant gonna cover that also? Because that can be a costly expense for the homeowner to accrue if the town's not gonna cover that expense.
Sir, could we get your name and your address?
Michael Collins, 206 South Body Street.
Okay. The answer to that question, those households that are low to moderate income, these funds will be used to run the sewer line from the main up to the house and connect the house, and to also then disable their in-ground septic system. The top will be opened, they'll be pumped down, they'll be filled full of sand and covered back up. Rental properties out there that aren't owned by people of low to moderate income, I'm assuming the council will assess a connection fee for them, and they will have to pay their own connection cost.
Which they wouldn't necessarily have to do if they wanted to keep a working septic system there, correct?
This is true,
It's only if
yes.
it fails that then they would want to hook up.
Right. There would be a connection at the curb, so to speak, for them in the future, and they would pay the connection costs at some point in the future. And they would also have, the expense of properly abandoning their on-site septic system. So, did that answer the question?
Any other comments? If not, we've had our public hearing, and do I hear a motion for us to approve this resolution?
So made.
Is there a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
And then, yeah, this time, do I hear a motion that we come out of public hearing?
So made.
Second.
I think I'm supposed to do
Thank
that
you all.
first. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Thank you.
The next items on the agenda are Resolution 26 and 26B. And I'd also like to present at this time Resolution 31. 26 and 20B are specifically for the CDBG grant application. And I don't know if you want me to read those, or if you've had a chance, if you're comfortable with what they say, can adopt them. If you want me to read them, I will. Most of it's attesting to the assurances.
Would you, help me find out where we
Where are
are.
we at now?
We're on page 17 and page 19.
17 and 19?
Yes, those are the two resolutions.
Okay. So
Sorry.
19's not labeled. Oh, there it is, okay.
It's in small type.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, if you would, please, a motion to adopt and pass Resolution 2021
There we go.
26
2020, okay.
and B,
That we
21B.
apply for the grant.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
In explanation on Resolution 31, which I believe Sarah passed out to you before, Helen Page, which is Ben's colleague, was informed today that the Cdbg grant program may not have enough money to fund all projects that receive enough points to receive funding. So she's recommending that we apply simultaneously. Let me get my notes. To the Federal Clean Water Act for a grant/loan for this same project. Resolution 31 is authorizing the submission of that application. I don't know, I felt really good about our chances of getting the Cdbg, and still do. I think it's a rock-solid application. The LMI is 71%. The need is definitely there. And it's all very justifiable, but, you know, if they're running out of money and they can't fund all projects that garner enough points to receive funding, then we would have the Federal Clean Water Act, which would be a combination most likely of a grant and a loan to help us do this same project. Now, if we get both, then you can choose which one you want to go with, and you'd likely do the Cdbg grant, which is 80% with our 10% match.
Now, if we were only to get this 2021-31, do we know what the structure is? How much of a grant versus a loan, or is that something you find out when approved?
That's something you find out when you approve. You do the application, and then, you know, depending upon your need and hardship and, you know, the LMI that you're serving, they come up with a percent that's a grant and a percent that's the loan.
When
And-
might we hear from this?
I'm assuming it'll be a similar time frame. You know, the CDBG grant we'll know back in January, late January, early February. I didn't get a whole lot of details from Helen today about it, but I'll certainly follow up and put that in my manager's report about the Federal Clean Water Act.
Council, do you have any questions of Randy, or what is your desire to do with this? Do I hear a motion to go forward with this resolution?
We've got to go forward.
And I take it, since the recommendation was made for us to apply simultaneously, that there won't be any harm to our original CBDG application if they see a second application to another entity?
One's federal, one's state.
Okay, so no known, okay, all right.
So Larry made a motion that we move forward with this resolution. Do I hear a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Corey, our Parks and Recreation, talking about our Christmas tree.
So, another one of the projects that was funded in this year's budget was to purchase a Christmas tree for the battleship. This is not a real tree. This is a fake tree that's put together, and you can also purchase 4-foot sections of the tree, so you can grow the tree over time. There was $5,000 budgeted for that project out of streets, and $5,000 budgeted out of MSD. I went to the last Downtown Strong Advisory Board, and they were agreeable to split that cost with the town of that Christmas tree. So what we have is an 18-foot tree. We had the warm white lights on the tree, and then a 3D topper on top with pure white lights. We can certainly change those before it's ordered if the
Oh, I think
council
that'll be
prefers.
really pretty.
Where would that be
something else.
located, Coy, on the battleship?
That's something we would have to to figure out where exactly everything's gonna fit. We might have to change the layout of how it's been in years past, just to see what looks best.
What's the footprint of a tree this size?
That one, I believe, had a 10-foot base, but it will fit in the battleship.
Okay. We just have to figure out exactly where.
I'm excited. Do I hear a motion that we approve the purchase of this 18-foot panel tree?
I just want to make sure it doesn't displace the carolers and the major scene.
It
You-
will not. I've talked with someone and they're gonna keep all that, but they said they may have to place the tree in a different spot
Just looking at
and might not.
the totals, is there like a cash price and a credit card price? Is that what I'm looking at?
It is, and, you know, the taxes we'll get back from that, so the total for that is $9,728.85. Of course, we pay the tax and then we get that back
Okay.
Oh,
at
okay.
a later date.
My understanding is that the chamber might be interested in sharing the cost.
We did reach out. I talked to Mary Grace about it. I haven't heard back from her, so I'm assuming she hasn't gotten the board pulled together to find out. But there was a formal request made to the chamber that they pick up a third of it. And we just three-way split.
I think it'll make a nice addition to the town to have something there that's attractive during the Christmas holidays. We did a little different last year, sprucing things up and some new decorations, so I think it'll be a good thing. So,
I
So
agree.
do
I
I
make a
hear a
motion.
motion? Okay, you make a motion. Do I hear a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
I think it will too, so get our order. We'll have her here for Christmas.
Randy, would you please get back with the chamber and see if we can't twist their arm just a little bit?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Our next item is 7G, and I talked with Randy prior to this meeting, and I would like to table this until our next meeting just to work on some figures and some numbers and get a clarification. So, dear, I hear a motion that we table this item 7G for tonight and bring it up at our next meeting.
And
So
get
moved.
these numbers nailed in.
Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We will concentrate on that. Okay, Samantha, the Finance Director, review and approval of the newly revised customer service policy and purchase policy.
Okay, thank you. So I hope everybody had a chance to review these policies. I know they were pretty long. The first policy is the utilities customer service policy. It's very different, a lot of updates to it. I'm taking into consideration some technological upgrades and some software upgrades that we've been able to take advantage of, and so we're making use of those tools here. So, did anybody have any questions?
I had a quick question, just on that first page. It says if you have an outstanding balance on a closed account, you must pay that amount owed prior to starting a new service. And I was just wondering what would happen if it's not like the individual who's applying for the new service, they transfer it into the brother's name or, an entity's name or something like that. Should we make it property specific, that if there's an outstanding balance on the property, that whoever's coming to establish service has to pay?
So that kind of causes some issues.
Okay.
Because if you have a balance on the property and a new person is coming into the
Right.
property, we can't force the new tenant or owner to pay charges that belong to a previous person. But luckily, we do have collection methods in place for that outstanding balance. So
Do we have scenarios where people just transfer from family member to family member to try to?
we don't allow that. And so it's specifically
Okay.
not allowed here. So in this policy, I state that any person over 18
Mhm.
who's going to reside in that has to be on the account. That
Okay.
means they have to provide that
So that you
information.
know everybody that's there.
And in fact, the state law, the law states that if you are knowingly and willingly accepting service from the town, we have the legal right to charge you for those services.
Okay.
And we have methods to find out who you are and charge you for that. And so all of that is written here in this
Okay.
policy.
And then just one other thing, we clarify it in the residential security deposit section, that if you don't provide the social security number, that it's a $200 deposit. I was just wondering if we should move that up to establishing service, to say 100 security deposit, or 200 if no social.
Sure.
Refundable, just so it's
Yes.
there in the requirements.
Yes.
In the section that addresses deceased customers and estate accounts, reading through it, I personally thought it was being a little bit harsh because we probably got a bunch of folks that still have services going to a name that had been deceased for some years.
I do understand, and this does comes up right often.
I know it does.
But the issue is that you can't use another person's name to take services.
Legally.
You've got to establish the account in your own name.
Okay.
And we can work with you and get that done, but we just can't, we can't allow somebody to use another person's name to establish service.
I guess what I was leading to, if a person has been deceased 15 years, let's say the widow, excuse me, is still there and has been paying the bill, why does she have to come up with death certificates and all this other stuff to show the town that it needs to be transferred over to her rather than just come in and let's make the change?
Well, any sort of
her office.
documentation showing that she's got the legal right to be in that property and that she has the legal right to have service at that location would be fine. So
Okay.
a death certificate or any other sort of documentation of that nature.
Or under this, you're saying that anybody who lives in a property over 18 needs to basically file with you that they're
Yeah.
there. So you could just show a driver's license, couldn't you, with that
Yeah.
address?
So, yes.
To be put on the account?
The only issue with this is, so if the property is a person's name who has passed away, we need to have some sort of documentation showing that we're gonna take that person off of the account. So.
Not
we
just
would
add the wife
yeah.
on?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's pretty typical when you've got transactions involving deceased people where proof of death is required, so.
Yeah.
think that's-
Okay.
Any other questions on that part?
Do we have a way of notifying the residents in Nashville that this new policy now exists? Because they don't have this to read. How
Yeah.
are we gonna notify them?
So I'd like to actually mail this out once with with the new bills, when the new format comes out.
Uh-huh.
So we'll send a new copy of that. I've got some other literature I'd like to send with it as well.
Okay, all right.
It's also gonna be, so we've completely revamped the website and we've updated all the information there, so. And so far, I can see that a lot of the new residents and existing residents are using the tools that we put there, so.
And this will be on the website?
Yes.
Yeah, but a lot of the old residents here in Nashville don't have access to a website.
But in addition to sending it out, it will be on our website, is what I was trying to clarify.
Okay, all right.
And then I'm assuming every new user would get a copy of this when they come in.
They would, and we would actually request that they sign
Mm-hmm.
a copy.
Okay,
When will we start the new billing?
So next time, next cycle.
Well, Samantha, looks like you put a lot of work into this. And I'm glad we've got a new up-to-date, policy for this customer service and purchasing.
I agree. I move to approve the customer service policy.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 We'll do the purchase policy second.
How about the purchasing, contracting, and travel policy there? Did anybody have any questions on that? Anything need clarification? That
can't-
was a bit longer.
No, I can't find the
If you have time to
page.
get
Oh, here we
through
go.
all that, we can have it on the next meeting agenda too.
Well, as long as the department heads are okay with this, then I think I would feel comfortable with it, because that's where the question always comes up, or has come up in the past. That the purchasing policy was not so that the department heads could have more leeway in making purchases for things that they needed. But if department heads are okay with this, then I'm okay with it.
This is pretty much the policy that we've been going. you know.
Since you've been here,
Yes.
okay.
In the past, we had problems with pre-audit, and this pretty much clarifies it,
I just have a question / recommendation in the lodging accommodations on page 163. where we say lodging will not be permitted for travel within 50 miles. I see that Greenville is 54.
Oh, Greenville's 54 miles?
So,
Okay.
and we've had in the past someone stay at a hotel overnight in Greenville. So I was wondering if we could just say something like lodging will not be permitted without approval of the town manager or something like that, so that, you know, if you have something that goes late into the night, you know, until 10 o'clock, obviously that's a different scenario than something ending at 3 in Greenville. So maybe we just give a little bit more flexibility to the town manager for approval or disapproval, but make it a little bit more stringent on the employee who's seeking lodging.
Good suggestion.
We can make that change.
What about credit cards?
So this policy fleshes out in excruciating detail anything that you would need to know about credit card use for the town. That would be on page 166.
And who gets to carry a credit card? Is it department heads or?
It's department heads and a small handful of other administrative staff.
Those statements are scrutinized by our finance director every month. Nothing gets by that isn't supposed to be on there. That hasn't been pre-audited or anything.
Okay. Thank you so much, Samantha, again.
Approve it.
We did approve it. Didn't we approve
No,
this?
We
did
approved the
not.
first one.
We did not.
We need to do the second one now.
Policy, you have it.
Oh, we've got, I'm sorry. Do I hear a motion that we approve this purchase policy?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? There is a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 A lot of good stuff. If we can get all these grants, we'll be in business and get everything going for our sweet town. We appreciate you coming tonight. Are there any comments? Do you have any more comments, Randy? Do you, council members?
I've got one comment. And I don't see anybody here from Lee, from his department. I had a couple of individuals come by my residence, and you, Ms. Hinton and Mayor, you may have seen it because of the way you travel. We did a lot of cleaning up in my backyard, and a big tree, big bush that's outside that's turned into uncontrollable size. They came by Saturday because that's the day I could get them, and they did a bunch of trimming, and I had 2 big piles of wood chippings and limbs and bushes and stuff that I didn't even realize had gotten that big. And they pulled them out to the street, and I know normally they pick up my refuge limbs and stuff like that on Thursday. And I was comfortable with Thursday being it, and I didn't call anybody. But this morning when I got up, I heard something making a racket outside, and the maintenance department had already come around with a big truck and a backhoe and a whole bunch of stuff and did an outstanding job of cleaning it up. And Lee, I don't know how they found out it was there, unless somebody just rode by and saw it. But when you tell those guys, I really do appreciate them being so punctual. I didn't have to call anybody, and you cannot walk by there and see that I had a mess in my front yard. But they did an outstanding job, and they ought to be commended for that.
Pass it along, thank you.
Please do. That's all.
Lynn?
I just want to thank all of our staff. I think everybody does a great job, and they probably don't get a lot of thank yous from us as council, so I just wanted to go on the record tonight and let them know that we appreciate all that you do for the citizens of Nashville, and keep up the good work.
Louise?
Yeah, did we ever get that certificate of occupancy straight for the ladder truck?
You mean for the carport?
Mm-hmm.
No, we didn't have a quorum at the last Board of Adjustment meeting, so it's been rescheduled. I believe for, is it this week?
September 9th, I think the posting is on the door.
September 9th.
Do you have any comments, Kay?
No comments tonight.
Well, again, we thank you so much for coming out tonight, and have a good rest of the week. And at this time, do I hear a motion that our meeting is adjourned?
So made.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.